Hi there, ho there, everybody. It's Wednesday James here with another edition of What's Up With That Song Wednesday. We're going to talk about an older song today, kind of mid-older, I guess. We're going to talk a little bit about Elvis Costello, talk a little bit about writing letters to yourself. We're going to talk a little bit about a song about Keith Moon. We're going to talk a little bit about a song called Turn a Phrase. Here we go. I'm going to put this one, I think around 2009, question mark, but when I wrote this song, give or take, 2008, 2009, something like that, in the kind of early, mid-Sobercats era. I was working on it. Initially, I was sort of thinking about how an awful lot of Elvis Costello songs that I was listening to at the time, early Elvis with the Attractions primarily, a lot of those songs kind of like the chorus is just like a phrase, and then it just kind of like repeats the phrase, and then the verses are sort of expounding upon that phrase. I was sort of thinking about that as a structure of writing. And then more relevantly, I was thinking to myself about how much easier this had been when I was, 21, 22. And these things just sort of came a lot more naturally. Funny that it's actually much harder now than it was when I was 29, but what are you going to do? But so I was thinking about it as a letter from my younger self to my current self, which is now still my younger self, because that's how time works, I guess. And it's a sort of a time capsule for me about that. It's me at late 20s thinking about me at early 20s, and whether that early 20s me would be interested by the work that later 20s me was doing, and kind of being a little underwhelmed at the time, feeling like I was sort of bullshitting around and not really getting my shit together, and just how there was more fun to it when I was younger. There was more flexibility. I mean, it's the kind of this is not a groundbreaking thought. It's hard to maintain the level of kind of flexibility mentally and creatively that you have when you're a kid, because you don't know any better as a kid. You're just going to write kind of whatever, and sometimes it's kind of hacky and sometimes it's not, but you're still like, hey, it's great, it's groovy, it's a new thing, woo wah, ha ha. And then you get to be a little older, you start to develop a little bit of taste and a little bit of desire to, be better than you thought you were. But that, of course, then gets very hard to do, and it is a problem that I continue to struggle with today, where I will have a thought about something that I want to write about, and then before I even get a chance to sit down and do it, I have talked myself out of it because it's a bad idea, or I think I can't do it, which is a really stupid way to be. And I'm trying now, in my mid-40s, or 39 as my birthday message would say, I'm trying now to remind myself to just fucking write the thing. And then if it sucks, you throw it out, But when you have the idea, you want to kind of hit on the idea. You want to do it, which also, the younger you are, kind of, for at least me, the more spare time I had. So it's a lot easier to just happen to have half an hour to sit down and write a song or whatever. Now, I mean, obviously it takes longer than half an hour usually, but just to get the idea started. But I just was thinking about how much more I liked younger me than I liked current me, which is also a thing that I continue to battle with. And some of that I think is probably just, liking being young, which is fun because you have no responsibilities that really matter. And everything is possibility, whereas by this point in my life, lots of things are no longer possibilities. Some of them still are, which is why I'm still doing this stupid job. But it's certainly more of a transition. And it's just harder to get into that space, that headspace, where where the words can dance for you and the songs will sing their praises. It's hard to find that space, because there's just, at least now anyway, I just have so much more responsibility, and that I had. I mean, like I said, it's not a groundbreaking thought. Everybody, as you get older, you have more shit to do, and more shit that's important, and more shit that is stacked up against you, and so it gets harder and harder to make that space, to find that room, to do that creative thought. So it's sort of funny to me that at 28 or 29, I was complaining about how much harder it was than when I was 20 or 21, and now here I am mid 40s, and I'm like, man, I wish it was that easy to sit down and write that song. So it was written, like I said, early Sobriquets era, probably initially, I want to say before Nick joined on drums. I seem to recall working on some of it with Josh and Dan in the rehearsal space. But we never really totally figured out what to do with it, arrangement-wise, to make it kind of pop. And I still honestly haven't quite figured out what to do with it. We tried to record it for the Way Home record. Ended up being a B-side because it didn't quite pop in the studio. It's good. It sounds good, but it's not really a lockdown. Kind of the best idea we had that we could never actually make work in practice, but I had the kind of thought taking it kind of like a mid-period Who song, where it's like a ton of like big Keith Moon fills and do what's the damn word I want? Windmill guitar strums and big chords and big whatever and we sort of played around with that some, but Nick was never that wild a player. He was a great player. I miss playing with Nick a great deal. He's a fantastic drummer, but he's very much a sort of controlled, tight drummer. He's not a big like go wild and do Keith Moon kind of shit. And the few times we kind of tried that arrangement live, it found that just like because we were so functioning in a different direction, that was just sort of place. It just never really found its spot, and I kind of still haven't found out what to do with it. But I still think it's a pretty interesting piece of writing for me. Maybe not a good piece of writing, but an interesting piece of writing. It's nice to remember that I've been shitting on myself for quite some time. This is not a new thing where I feel like I'm not getting my shit together. I've been doing this for a long time. But, it is... I feel like a lot of really successful writers sort of write from the chorus out. So they have the hook, and then they write the verses to go with it. And that's a really smart way to do things because the hook is, going to be your strongest part. I tend not to do that because I'm a hack and a fraud. So I tend to write my way into things. So I sort of start at the top of the song usually and kind of start writing and sign it with verse before I get but the problem therein, of course, is that the chorus then is often a thing that I have to decide on or come up with, as opposed to being the reason that I sat down to write the goddamn song. If you look, a lot of tunes, that first verse has some like table setting stuff, which is mostly me setting my own table to figure out like what I'm writing about. And like there's a part of that that's just like I just write on instinct. I tend not to be a really studious songwriter. I tend to be kind of like this, I'm here right now and here's the vibe and here's what's going on. So the whole searching for a turn of phrase, like look for a good chorus, look for a good hook. And I felt like, again, that was easier when I was a younger kid. So the you in the song, so it's 28-year-old me writing to a you who was 28-year-old me from 20-year-old me or whatever. Which gets a little bit mind-bending now that I think about it, how to work on that. But, it is the constant search because I don't want to just like write in prose. You want to find that like poetic way to describe something. You want to find that phrase that catches. You want to find the idiom that you can redirect in an interesting way. You want to find something that's going to be a little bit more than just yelling a single entendre. You want to kind of layer things in, ideally, and I continue to want to do that and continue to struggle to do that. So it's a good reminder for me that this continues to be the battle. This is writing songs is hard and weird, and it sometimes comes very easily and very instinctually, and sometimes it's a lot of banging your head into a notebook until something happens. This is just a song about, like many songs, wishing you were younger and it was easier, frankly. And being sort of at odds with yourself and not really happy with yourself, which, again, is a fairly common thread for me in my life. But I am fairly pleased with it. It's again, it's not a song I play very often because I really have not ever totally figured out what to do with it. Arrangements have never totally fit to make it work, and maybe it needs a bridge, but I don't know what to do there. Maybe it needs something else. I don't really know. The arrangement today is a little loopier than I had done in the past. I don't know if it works or not. I just was sort of trying to throw some stuff at the wall and see what stuck. Anyway, that's going to be Turn a Phrase, a B-side from the Way Home's record, On So Thin a Line. It got eventually released onto the streamers, so it's up there now, that version. And also, here's the version that you're about to hear in just a moment. So thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoy the song. We'll be back next week with another one, and we'll see you on the flip side. Cheers, y'all. Be safe. Be kind.
You've been talking all night. When did you get so tired? You ain't said anything that's even remotely inspired. The words would dance for you and the songs would sing their praises. And now you're fumbling for glory and the stories are trying to hide their faces. And I passed out and I've been sleeping for days. You cast a bound for your turn of phrase. Your colors were all so bright and our delight. It was all so funny. And every day your sky's more gray and you always fade when we talk about money. And I didn't notice when you lost your way. You cast a bound for your turn of phrase. You could walk on water and you could dance on air. You could coast above the radar. You're always there now. Now the tide has risen and you forgot how to float. You're drowning in the repetition and there's no one around you to save your soul. And I stopped sleeping and walk around in the haze. You cast a bow for your turn of phrase. I didn't notice when you lost your way. You cast a bow for your turn of phrase. Your turn of phrase. Your turn of phrase. Your turn of